What's up guys, this is Nightwing2303 from WearTesters.com. Today we have another performance review and it happens to be on the Nike LeBron 12 Low. This is a shoe that I was really excited to play in, and then I wasn't. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright guys, so as you can see, the traction between this and the regular LeBron 12 is pretty much identical. Nothing's really changed, and because of that, the performance is pretty much identical. I personally never had a problem with the original 12s, and I didn't have a problem with these either. Once in a while, if you get some like pretty heavy dust areas or things like that, then you'll have to wipe every so often or periodically, but it wasn't really a big deal in my opinion. And because all the flex grooves are there, you're always having some portion of the traction in contact with the floor, which is usually a good thing. The only real difference between the lows and the mids is that the lows actually happen to have solid rubber options, whereas the mids usually came in translucent only. So if you're looking for a solid rubber versus a translucent rubber, you're actually going to get that with the lows. However, I did not have a problem with the mids either, and I thought that those performed just as good, if not the same, as these guys here. Now, this is not the pair that I played in, but this is just going to show you the cushion setup. Basically, we still have hex zoom up in the forefoot. However, there are some missing hex zoom units. There's only 2. And on the LeBron mid, there's a few more. But they removed the heel zoom and replaced it with a 180 Air Max unit, which is awesome. So while the forefoot is missing some hex units, you really can't feel the damn difference. Because they're all bottom loaded like this, the first thing in contact with the floor is the zoom, so that's absorbing the impact, and you can't feel it because your foot is not resting directly on it. Usually if your foot is on zoom, you can feel it kind of compress and deflect, but because you got a whole midsole between your foot and the tiny little zoom units, you aren't going to feel that. So the difference between this and having an extra 1 or 2 zoom units in the shoe, honestly, there wasn't really a big difference there. So while the forefoot is a different setup than the mids, you're not going to get much of a different experience. You are definitely getting a different experience with the heel though. Beforehand there was a large volume Zoom Air unit right here targeted in the heel portion of the shoe, and now you have that 180 unit like I was saying, and this is maximum protection right here. So if you're a heel striker or just a big guy and you don't like little Zoom Air units that are targeted throughout the shoe, this is going to be that shoe that's going to provide maximum cushion for you. And it also happened to have a slightly better transition from heel to toe because this compresses a lot nicer than the original setup did. So I love the cushion on these guys even with the minimized zoom, and I think I actually liked it more than the initial LeBron 12. I still think it would have been awesome if they used that max zoom unit as the 180 bag instead of the regular Air Max, but it's not something to where I can actually complain. So the regular LeBron 12 had a mesh upper with Mega Fuse overlays, and the LeBron 12 Low has a mesh upper with regular Fuse overlays. Sorry, had to change colorway because this one you can actually see it. Now, is there a huge difference between the two, between the low and the mid? Honestly, once again, kind of like the forefoot cushion area, not really. The main difference is going to be in the back here where the posit material is located. The posit wings, as you guys remember, kind of covered that whole midfoot area and then went up to the collar of the shoe. And for the low top, they've reduced it to where it's almost non-existent in comparison to the original model, and I think that was a huge mistake. Now, as far as their fit, they are true to size, so I would recommend going with your true size. Yes, they are a little bit narrow up front, but because it is mesh, it's not going to be a huge issue. You're going to break the shoe in really quickly, so I would rather have a nice, secure, and snug fit than a loose fit. Now, their overall lockdown or containment is pretty solid overall. Basically, from here up, it's really good. And then from here back, it's very good, but right here, huge issues. I don't know if it's a combination between the materials being flimsy and the missing sidewall or reduced sidewall of foam posit material, but this area supplied zero coverage whatsoever, and it was incredibly dangerous. I rolled my ankle so many times in these guys, it was not even funny. Luckily, every time I did roll it, it was a smooth transition, so I didn't hurt myself, but it's one of those things where I definitely could hurt myself if I continued playing in the things. Even with an ankle brace, I just didn't feel secure in the shoe. I always felt like my foot was going to pop out of the damn shoe, and that's a feeling that you don't want ever. So while the pieces of foam posit that still remain do a really good job of keeping your heel contained from shifting side to side, because of its reduction in height from the higher top all the way to this, whatever this is, this tiny little pillar, there is no real lateral support within the upper. And you might be thinking, well, this is very similar to the Hyper Rev. That's exactly what I was thinking as well, but the Hyper Rev did extend up to the collar area, and I'm talking the original, not the new one, and it had a big ankle strap, so it was able to keep your foot inside the shoe at all times, even with lateral shifting, whereas this one doesn't doesn't really have that in place. Basically, it's really rigid underneath and it's super flimsy up top, and those two areas just don't mesh well together. You need the whole shoe to kind of be very fluid and things like that, and this is overly supportive and this is underly supportive. The last shoe that I remember having this type of issue was actually the Nike Kobe 7. This is way back in the day. I rolled my ankle so hard in those that I was actually out for a few weeks because it's swollen up and there was some damage to the ligaments. Again, luckily I never did that in these shoes, but it's very possible. So I would stay the hell away from these things if I was you. So due to that whole support or lack of support issue, obviously the support's pretty bad, in my opinion at least, which kind of sucks because all the other support pieces that are in the shoe work really well. These 3 oversized outriggers work great for lateral movements around that forefoot area, and like I said earlier, the posit sidewalls that do remain do a really great job of keeping your heel contained, but the containment right in this very small section here just kind of kills the shoe, makes them practically unwearable on court, which is a huge letdown in my opinion because this is a great looking sneaker and it's the first LeBron low top that we've had that's actually innovative since the LeBron 8 low. So overall, they have really good pieces in mind, but I definitely would rather play in the LeBron 12 mid than the low. I'd keep the low for off court or just if you're like training or shooting around, things like that. Something that doesn't take in-game movements, that's what I would use this shoe for. And again, certain things on this shoe were great. I really like the traction, I enjoy the cushion, and I really like the materials as well, but they do have a role in that whole containment issue, so because of that I'm going to have to knock their grade down a little bit. If you are wondering what the grade is on the shoe, the scorecard is going to be coming up after the review, and if you have any questions regarding their scores or badges, you can always go to WearTesters.com. Direct link is going to be in the description box below, and it'll explain everything right there. Other than that, if you guys have played in these things, let me know what you guys think. Have you actually enjoyed your time playing in them? Have you experienced similar issues that I have? Feel free to let me know, and hopefully this review helped anybody out that might have been interested in the shoes. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for all your support. Stay tuned for the next one. WearTesters shooting shirts are still available. Limited sizes are left. A majority of them have sold out. And a super big thank you to everybody that did buy them. I really, really appreciate the support. And until next time, guys, have a good one.